Maybe it's the way you're dressed.
It's that time of the year again, where we get our hands on a brand new fighter, this time around being Marie the Skullgirl. And we also happen to get her before Second Encore players. Take that, you fuckers. The question is mobile Marie any good or not? Well, if we're judging by the trailers themselves, she seems pretty average. Most of the moves themselves seem pretty practical, but nothing can be totally confirmed until she's actually released. Which, by the time of recording this, we're still under maintenance. The variants themselves seem pretty okay. I don't think it's gonna be groundbreaking or busted like Black Dahlia, but only time will tell. The character ability of Rest and Resurrection definitely puts an interesting spin in the game, by being able to both revive and permanently kill opponents, or incinerate them. It's the same thing essentially. Some people have speculated that this will put Valentine and Squiggly's prestige out of business. I highly doubt that. It's a character ability. There has to be a caveat of sorts, so that it doesn't make both of those things completely obsolete. But hey, this is HBS we're talking about, it could totally happen. As for the new debuff of the week, we have Quietus, something on the same level of Deadeye in terms of convenience, being able to bypass Final Stand and Blessing. About time we got another solution to get rid of Trauma Center Valentines. It also happens to ignore resistance, so if you are to inflict, you could then reliably inflict everything else practically. In theory. Again, only time will tell how actually efficient Quietus is. The markers themselves look nothing special, it's just some extra blockbuster meter and health, as well as permanent enrage and armor. As for the prestige, it probably spells redundant if most of Marie's kit and variants happen to feature a lot of Quietus. As for the catalyst, it's shit, let's just leave it at that. Obviously, if Marie was the only thing new to this patch, it would be a little underwhelming. That's why we get another bunch of fucking new variants! Yay, I'm so excited, more filler to the collection. And also there happens to be a funny little caveat where the variants from the previous seasons will not be available in patch 6.0. We gotta wait for the next one. Well, that's fucking nice, eh? To be fair, I wasn't overly hyped for any of them, but this time around I am hunting down that Squiggly palette. Okay, maybe that's enough negativity for a while. Let's talk about quality of life improvements. Now we can check the stats of all moves at once by pressing a singular button. It's nothing special, but it helps to give a quick check at your stuff. We can also sort moves by up to 3 stats, so if you want something very specific like attack, crit resist, or attack cooldown, then you can just go for it. But none of these beats the new feature of selling everything at once. This is definitely convenient if you're the kind of person that just keeps on gambling and accumulates a lot of silver moves and just wants to get rid of everything in a fell swoop, so that's definitely a good improvement. Lastly, in terms of collection, relic pulls will be separate. This means that if you happen to have 400 out of 400 fighters in your collection, but still have some slots for moves, then you can comfortably open move relics. Furthermore, if you somehow reach 2300 moves, the game will start auto-selling. So if you're that weird person that hoards moves until the cows go home, you might want to start selling unnecessary things. Another thing that has been improved is the backstage pass, adding some extra buttons for navigation, which is convenient, and the skip ahead button. You must be really fucking desperate to buy this thing, but the option is there. And also the daily goals have been updated to give you a full backstage milestone in a day, so thank fuck for that. Alright, the last thing, and then I'm gonna go play Wipeout 3. Parallel Realms. Indeed, last patch's new edition has received some tweaks, as to make it a little more bearable. But it also came in with some sneaky surprises, to say the least. Nightmare and No Mercy have received the most relevant change, by changing the boss's modifier for something much easier to deal with, and getting completely rid of the fucking immunity, thank fucking Christ for that. Good lord, I have a mouth of a sailor. Now it's much more in your face about countering bleed effects, making every variant into a bloodbath wannabe. But hey, at the very least we can actually use other things. So yeah, that's definitely a win. What's not so much a win, although it technically is, would be changing a couple marquees, for the purpose of being much more defensively oriented. Remember how I criticized Black Dahlia and Umbrella for having the wrong marquees? Now they happen to have No Time to Die and Bitter End respectively. If nothing else, it'll prove much more challenging. So yeah, I can't technically complain, it's the right thing to go for. Besides, there's no immunity, so that also helps. Here's the much more questionable thing, artifact tuning. There's been a lot of changes, some good, some not so good. For example, King of Diamonds, instead of being just a measly 10% increase, has been bumped up to 30%, which is much more noticeable for comparison. Supercharger is now no longer limited to Robo Fortune exclusively. It also involves any Peacock and Black Dahlia, for example. On the other hand, you have a couple of nerfs, such as Fishbone Cleaver only lasting 30 seconds, and Jellyfish Lantern being a silver artifact. They definitely did a lot of sweeping changes. But it's gonna be about the same thing as before. Remember, it's a daily mode, it has to be beatable, and I'm pretty sure Sandstorm can do it this time around. Or not. Probably not. And that's all they wrote that seems half interested to comment on. I would say it's a pretty average patch. Of course, the usual Mori fans such as Kuroirozuki or 0-6 are gonna instantly wail to get their hands on Mori. Well, I assume they will anyway. Outside of that, it's pretty by the numbers. With that said, let's hope this patch is kind of decent by the end of the day. And I don't know, let me host a giveaway, you